Let me along to your totally nude island. You took my hand. Let me astray that day I'm totally nude island.
Once you hear the mesmerizing calls of the rarest of exotic birds, you become totally consumed by passion. Totally consumed by passion. Put on a strategically placed shell. Raise a little hell. Frolic in the surf, sand and turf. On totally nude island.
Darling, show me love. Tell me lies. You do something to me. Naked all through the night. Touch me once, kiss me twice. You do something to me on this island side.
Kissed by eternal sun, kissed by eternal sun. A few miles north of the Tropic of Desire. Totally new island. Totally new island. Totally new island. Totally new island.
Let me along to your totally nude island. Let me astray to your totally nude island. Let me along to your totally nude island.
Welcome to the Tokyo Crypto Show. Gentlemen, how are we doing? Today, I am joined by the man, the myth, the legend himself, the godfather of Bitcoin, Charlie from Cultivated Crypto. How you doing today, Charles? High five.
Ecstatic with the current price of 7,500, baby.
Yeah, it looks like Bitcoin is heading down right now. It's currently at a pretty low price. Typically, if I was a dirty, filthy, stinking normie, I'd be panicking right now. So, guys, don't panic at this current situation. Right now, we have the price going down, but honestly,
The guys in the chat seem to be loving it because I think they know what's going on. They've been paying attention to us.
yes, for sure. They know that this is discount Bitcoin time. What do you, Charlie, aka the Bitcoin Poppy?
I keep getting these Ed Sheeran comments, but he's an okay looking guy. I don't mind.
Take it.
It's all right, hologram. I'll roll with it.
Ed Sheeran's a good one to be called. It is I, Versace Poppy, and Charlie from CultivateCrypto.com. We're going to talk to you guys today on the Tokyo Crypto Show. What's going on with everything in Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency marketplace. So let's just jump right into it. Let's just go. Let's take a look at this price action. What's going on here, Charles?
We are getting a nice dumpo. I guess we should probably look at the chart.
Okay.
So is it on?
Yep.
Okay, sweet. So what we've been watching for here basically over since the end of September, since we had this big drop, we had this drop from about 10,100 down to about 7,700 or 7,800 within this box here, which is kind of a support resistance zone of price action. So since the end of September, we've been kind of ranging within this area, mainly between, and if I highlight the box, you can see on the side here, 7,800 to 7,800 to 8,300 is kind of this area we've been chopping in. We did have a brief fake out up to 8,800, but it really only lasted like, I don't even know, just a few hours, not even, maybe even a few minutes. And then what we've been watching here since that time is this kind of pennant or wedge or triangle forming, which usually resolves to the downside, and voila, we got that resolution, or we're getting that resolution right now. Now, the thing that I'm watching for is how it's kind of like, I don't know how to describe it, maybe the opposite of a bleeding wound. Like if you look at it in a negative way, I guess, you know, how long does the bleeding kind of sustain? How long does that kind of red candle keep the power of selling? And so when you look at this right now, the targets are basically, I think on a conservative estimate, if somebody was still betting to the downside, but in a very conservative manner, we've already hit those targets. Today we got to the low of 74.50, and right now we're at 75.26, right? So some people were saying that's the lowest we're going to go, and then we're going to go up from there. In my opinion, we're heading towards this 7,000 to 7,200 range. On the 3-day chart, that's right between these two moving averages, which we should get some bounce off of in this area. We probably will, if we keep this downwards pressure, start having some kind of bounce in this mid to low 7K region, breakdown, and there is some possibility for a quick wick down to like 6,400 or so. As we discussed last week, Bitcoin's kind of, what do you call it? Price of operation price, I guess is what we termed it as. I forgot the exact word. Cost of production. That's the word I was looking for. Last week we talked about its cost of production. After the halving, will be about 6,400. And that comes in May next year. So the miners seem to be pricing that kind of cost of production in right now in advance. So I really don't see Bitcoin going much below 6,400. If we do, then we have to start looking for basically another 2 months of potential downwards price action. But, and we've been talking about this in our Telegram group quite a lot of different possibilities. Some people are looking conservatively where we're at now at the 7.5K region. Some people are looking for 7K. Some people are looking for 6Ks even. And so just kind of a couple things to look at here, which is interesting. So with the Fibonacci retracement tool, and I've shown this on the show before, going from the low here of 3,100 to our high of 14,000 or 13,800 roughly, brings us to the golden ratio area right here of the 7,200. And so that's what I'm looking for right now. The interesting thing on this as well is, let's use this tool here. And this one I have not used on the show before. Let's see. Oops. Yeah, I can't. Forgot how to use this fucking thing. But anyways, I won't do it live because I haven't used this thing in a week or so. But basically, if you use this tool, which is the trend-based fib time, it actually came out to October 22nd as basically the 0.618, that golden ratio number, to where we would get the end of this drop. So kind of something crazy that could happen is if we did get something, because what we got here in November to February is kind of this Adam Eve U-shaped dip that is quite a quick recovery, to be honest. And so one thing we could see is a smaller version of that here, where we have a dip down to that low 7,000, high 6,000 range, start getting kind of a U-shaped or V-shaped pattern, and then it could come up as quickly as September and get a big bounce, or it could kind of languish.
September or December?
Or sorry, November.
November.
I meant November. So we could get that quick bounce here in early November. Like we could have what I would estimate generally is like 4 or 5 days of this negative price action trying to find a home. Once we find that home, going sideways till the end of the month. And then we could potentially pop up here towards the beginning of November. And if we saw a lot of good buy volume, that would be extremely bullish. But as I mentioned on my show yesterday, in a worst case situation compared to what's happened in the past in these types of situations with Bitcoin, we could see a couple of months in the 7,000 range or 6,000, high 6,000s, low 7,000s into December or at latest, very latest, early January. So these discounts might last a while. They might not last very long. But the long and short of it is it will pop up. And the one thing I mentioned on my show yesterday to kind of target, the short-term targeting was with the Fibonacci retracements. But the long-term targeting is simply based on when these wave 1 to 2s have happened in the past. So what I mentioned yesterday was just the date, time. So going from this high here of $16, which was in August of 2012. The next time it hit that price was about 160 or 156 days, right? And then the last time that happened, again, from here at about $800, the next time it hit that same price, basically recovered it, is about 174, 180 days, right? So if from the local top that we have right now, we did something similar, basically, let's say 150 to 200 days, the top being in the middle of June, right? If we just went, let's say, like 200 days, that would get us to early January, right? So that would be kind of a worst case situation. If we were to bring it back to something similar, like 160, 170 days, that would bring us into the middle of December. But like I said, with the Fibonacci retracements, we could get a quick bounce here as early as end of October, early November. So, of course, it's a highly speculative market. That's why we call this, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Right now, speculation is the biggest game in it.
Right.
Trying to guess the price, but using that past data, also using the Fibonacci retracement tools, I think those are the two best ways to be really looking at the price right now. So we're getting discounts. What I would recommend to people is wait till the bleeding gets some bounce. So right now we still have a lot of pressure to the downside. So I'm just kind of waiting here to see when that stops, because the last time it happened, like I said, at the end of September, it really took about 4 days to resolve before we really got some bounce within this box area. But personally, I'm targeting 7.2. I know Spence is targeting lower in the mid 6K region. So we just kind of let it roll. And I've been out of Bitcoin since late September in cash. And so I'm just waiting for a good opportunity to buy in here. So we're talking about that in my Telegram group on a daily basis and on my show as well.
Yeah. And why don't you tell them about your Telegram group real quick?
Yeah, just it's a group that's like a WhatsApp for crypto. And do you want to?
Yeah, go ahead. Type it in.
Okay. It's just like a WhatsApp for crypto. And we talk about Bitcoin price, what's happening with Bitcoin on a daily basis, what's happening with the altcoins. Some people are doing shorts here now that the market is down. I'm doing like temporary shorts for, just a few hours, with a little bit of leverage. So we're just talking about different ways that you can make money with crypto, and also keeping up to date, keeping tabs on the crypto market at a very, close point of view. So that's what we do there.
So you get access to his Telegram chat group. And the Telegram chat group allows you to have 24/7 access to a group of experts or guys who are working in this field, and allows you just basically to pick the brains of people. I'm in there. It's good. It's good because the guys in there and the one lady who's in there, guys who are just people who are just trying to study this market and get better at this, quite honestly. The bronze gets you just access to the group. Silver gets you access to the group plus one consultation a month. Gold gets you 2 consultations a month. Platinum gets you 4 consultations a month. So keep that in mind. You get to talk to Charlie, talk about what's going on. If you're a guy who has like a relative good understanding of the market too, it's always good to bounce your opinion off another expert, and that's what Charlie's here for. We're going to talk today about social media censorship and how blockchain is used to avoid it. As everybody knows, I have once again, third time's a charm, I have been banned from Twitter. You can't follow me anymore at Modern Life John because I've been banned. Basically, the whole Michaela Peterson thing, somebody said something. She replied back to me and I replied back to her. Or she called me a moron and I replied back to her. And basically because she is a girl and she has a somewhat celebrity status, they just said, okay, well, fuck this small guy. We're going to side with her. And then they just banned me. There's no way for me to appeal it. Nothing like Nazi Germany. They just fucking was a one-sided. They threw my account in the fucking gas chamber, and it's game over. So I'm completely banned, and I don't know if I'm gonna go back. I'm debating whether or not I should go back to Twitter or not. Again, I'm just tired of like dealing with the inconvenience of the banning, and it's not like I'm on there like saying like kill all women or kill all people of a certain race or kill all people of a certain ethnicity or sexual orientation or whatever. It's just like basically like somebody talks shit to me and I talk shit back. Like she said blah blah blah. She said I'm a moron. I was like, yeah, well, you're a pretty bad wife. That's why you got a divorce. So like it's just it's an annoyance. And I would understand if I was saying stuff like, kill all people of a certain race or gender or something extreme. But the context to which I got banned, quite honestly, as a business owner, social media is a business, let's be honest here. Dealing with these minor inconveniences, and again, like there's people, it's all about preference as well. There's a guy who posted something way worse about her than I did, but he had like 40,000 followers, and he was allowed to just do what he wanted to do because he had almost as many followers as her. So we're going to talk about censorship and how blockchain is creating an actual decentralized social media future. And I look forward to seeing the evolution of the internet, because we are heading towards pretty much decentralized everything. So
yeah, and well, one of the things for me that's kind of been interesting watching the history of the internet, because we've grown up with the internet basically, right?
Right.
I think I've been online since basically 1993, which is a long time. And what I've noticed with the internet is that we've kind of regressed, right? We used to have more of a free, open internet, but now we have a lot more censorship, especially since about the last 10 years or so.
Yep.
And it's just kind of been increasing in terms of censorship, because a lot of our platforms are more centralized, right? When we had Facebook come out, we also had MySpace. I forgot what some of the other ones were at the time, but we had several social media sites. Not one was king. And now we just got a select few that kind of get a network effect, and everybody gravitates towards those. Every few years, a startup comes around like Instagram and gets extremely popular, but then they get bought out by Facebook, right? And so then they get centralized from the monopoly that is big tech companies, and mainly out of America. So, decentralization and blockchain technology via cryptocurrency is one way to regain that freedom And yeah, like M. Garcia says, make the internet great again. I love it. But it is a slow going movement. Today, I have a couple sites up here that just give some examples of what they're trying to do with different social media sites. And you can just see most of them don't even have more than 1 to 2 million visitors.
Yeah.
Or subscribers, I mean. And then on a daily basis, they have like 500,000 visitors usually. So it's still, an underground or very slow going movement.
Yeah.
And one of those things is like, I remember when we went to the Bitcoin meetings in Tokyo, right? That Roger Ver was setting up, the Bitcoin meetups. When Bitcoin was going crazy, I remember a couple people said, what's the point of Ethereum, right? And we're talking about smart contracts, different ways to keep your data private. And as soon as I talked about data privacy, basically saying you own your data, Facebook doesn't own it. You can control, what's on your profile. They can't ban it. Basically, as soon as I talked about data privacy, he says, I don't care about my privacy. I don't care about my data. And it's like, okay. So you want them going up your asshole, figuring everything out about how you're, what you're looking at online. And you've talked about this before with, Facebook, basically knowing everything that you're doing. And so most normies are okay with that, to be honest. That's why a lot of these decentralized platforms are taking time to build up. Mm-hmm. But we got Facebook in trouble in front of the United States government over the last 1 year. And people are finally starting to wake up and say, oh, my data is useful. I could get money for my data because these companies are making a shit ton of money off of my data, off of my personal information that I'm giving to them for free.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy. I was obviously Call of Duty is the new Modern Warfare is coming out in 2 days, and I'm on the market for a new controller, right? Just looking around, thinking about buying a new Xbox Elite controller, right? I didn't know there's a new one coming out in November, but I haven't typed it into anything. I've just set it on over iMessage and over FaceTime with some of my friends. But now I'm starting to get advertisements for an Xbox controller.
Like constantly, right?
On Facebook. So this just they recently found out that like the Alexa units are listening to you at all times.
Yeah, it's like, it's not hello Alexa, it's hello wiretap.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing with the iPhones too.
Oh yeah.
The iPhone, if you say, hey, then Siri, right? She automatically queues up, but that means she's always listening. She's always listening for those keywords to be like, oh, there it is. And we're just entering a world where most people are uneducated and they don't even care about this stuff. But for the guys that do care about it and would like to protect their privacy, because let's be honest, it's a smartphone, but more importantly, a smartphone is just a spy device. That's all it is. It's a tracking and spy device.
Well, it tracks exactly where you are. Both Apple and your network, like here in Japan, we have AU, KDDI, SoftBank. In America, you have Sprint. What are some other ones? AT&T,
T-Mobile, Verizon,
they know
Metro PCS.
As long as your phone is on, they know where you are 24/7 down to sometimes the room that you're in within your house.
You can even take out the SIM card and it's still connected. It still tracks you on the map. So you just got to be this is obviously full Alex Jones conspiracy nut, but at the end of the day, I am an advocate of men being able to have as much sovereignty and self-governance as possible. Because once you start putting your, like, for example, looking at fiat currency, right, is, once you start outsourcing important parts of your life to other people or organizations, let alone corporations, you're asking for trouble.
Yeah.
you're asking for a lot of trouble. So
Or you're just asking to be invaded.
yeah, exactly. And so that's what when we talk with the social media, building a social media platform on these, quite honestly, these tyrants, which is Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. You're handing over the leverage to them. However, we are entering a space and time that we are no longer. We're in the future. We're no longer going to need to rely on these things. It's slowly progressing in that way. But I think it's good that we bring awareness to the situation, because at what point do you like example? So this is why Libra is a complete joke.
Oh yeah.
Like on Twitter, I literally just disagreed with this chick when she called me a moron, and I said, "Well, you're probably a terrible wife. That's why you got divorced, right?" And she's allowed to call me a moron, but I'm not allowed to say, "Well, you got a divorce probably because why do people divorce? Probably a shitty spouse." And but of course, she's a woman, so she's automatically right. And everything she does, she could soccer kick her baby from the 50-yard line for a fucking 63-yard field goal.
Or she could inject, her child with, estrogen to make, a new gender, right?
Yeah.
When the child has no choice, right?
That's okay, but the moment I start critically analyzing anything, we got to shut that guy up.
Yeah.
We got to snuff him out. And this is why the Libra project is quite honestly failing, because at what point do we get to okay, you're being accused of wrongthink?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
well, once Elon Musk gets those, what does he have coming out? Those net brain things?
neural link.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He basically wants to connect your brain to the internet on a 24/7 basis. I wouldn't touch that shit with a 10-foot pole.
No. We'll get some beta testers and let them see how it works.
Some beta male testers.
Yeah.
But I think one good example that I think Americans could probably relate to, but they don't see it in this way, is what recently happened with the NBA in China.
Oh, fucking Christ, dude.
Right?
And Blizzard in China as well with the pro gaming and the Hearthstone tournament. Yeah, let's talk about that.
It's going to be... So the thing that happened there, right, is one guy from the NBA, one of the general managers, tweeted, "I support Hong Kong." Right?
Was he from the Rockets? Who was it?
Yeah, it was Maury. His last name is Maury. He's
a
GM,
player? Oh, he's GM. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so a high-ranking official. And basically, Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA.
I hate that guy almost as much as I hate Roger Goodell.
Yeah, all the commissioners. I mean, anybody in a power of authority is generally going to be hated. But he had to go to China and try. Basically, China says, "We're not going to show any of your games. We're going to basically black you out from our market unless you fire that guy."
Oh.
And he said no, because America is based on freedom of speech. We're an American brand, so we're not going to fire him just for your liking. And this and a lot of people were saying, for example, Lebron James was also saying, "Oh, we should, be more sensitive to global politics. We shouldn't really speak out about what we think." Whereas in the United States, these NBA players always want to talk about social issues, right? But we shouldn't talk about them when they relate to China, because we want their money. And so it's the same thing with social media in terms of the big tech companies. The big tech companies, they are monopolies.
Yes.
They are dictatorships like China. I mean, they're a little bit better disguised, and they infiltrate your life just as much, but it's just an Americanized version of what China is doing to their own society in a way.
It's funny, too. Did you see how that the Chinese people are now saying that if you criticize LeBron James as a Chinese citizen, that is racist?
That's hilarious.
There's the level of manipulation that these people are trying to push on us is hilarious. LeBron James has always been a corporate slave.
He wants the money. I mean, where do you think he goes? To Miami for the contract, or just because he loves the weather?
Yeah.
He wants those rings, baby.
But I mean, in regards to this, he's just the NBA's bitch. Let's be honest. He
wants to be their guy that's stamped on everything.
You don't support Donald Trump. You say, "Oh, I'm not going to go to the White House," but you support China that literally has fucking concentration camps
Yeah.
There's a guy in our audience from the
For the Uyghurs, right?
From the Uyghurs, yeah. A guy, Muhtar is a guy, and he did a
didn't know that.
consultation with me.
Wow.
He's Uyghur, and he had to. I had no idea about this, but he spread awareness about it. You have a guy who is like saying, "Oh, Donald Trump's a bad, evil man," but China concentration camps, a-okay.
Oh, we're just
Fuck
gonna
it.
ignore those. You know, it's just crazy.
He's literally supporting a government that has concentration camps.
Yeah, it's like saying I love North Korea, right? It's just the same thing. And yeah, to me, it's just ridiculous how people, in terms of invasion of privacy, they rationalize it when it's on a, you know, at a different level. If it's at a local level, a federal level, or an international level, they have different ways of rationalizing based on how they're dealing with it and how it affects their daily life. But a lot of people just don't notice how much of a dictatorship our technology is in our lives.
Yeah.
And so if you're going to use technology, you better be able to know how it can hurt you as well.
Yeah, I saw something on the internet said that it used to be technology was an escape from the real world. Now the real world is an escape from technology. And I was like, God damn. I saw that in between sessions on Soul Calibur 6.
That's hilarious.
I wait for Call of Duty to come out in 2 days. But it's so true. It's so true. Like, it can fuck with you.
How many hours a day are most people on their computer? It's the majority of their waking time.
Dude, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Everybody's plugged in. But for the people that can, like I said, you know, social media and the internet and us being connected like this is here to stay, right? You know, the guys in Body Language Mastery, the guys in your Telegram group, we would not have met these group of guys without the internet and social media. And I truly love the guys in my fucking community, like all the way down to the fucking most annoying shithead to, like, you know, the Chad of Chads, like Googs and Muhammad. You know, I love them all. And if it wasn't for the internet, I would never have met these guys. So they're in social media, more importantly.
Yeah, it gives people a good outlet into things that maybe in their local community they don't get a chance to discuss on a daily basis, I think.
Yeah, it does.
Improve themselves.
It definitely does. And especially with, you know, there is some sort of like, you know, corporate agenda against men. I know that sounds crazy, but there is, because strong men question, you know, the government, you know, and all these things, and they don't want that. They don't want you questioning them. They just want you to be individualized, shut the fuck up, and buy. It's all
Get
consumerism.
addicted.
Yeah, you know, they take, you know, get addicted. Get addicted is a perfect analogy. Like, buy this shit. Like, you don't, like, iPhone 11. Why? Has 3 cameras. I already got 2. Yeah, no, this one has 3. But this one's great. No, you're a fucking loser. And it's just like, you know, iPhone. What I mean, it's just the whole back thing is just gonna be cameras, you know.
Yeah.
So they say like the new iPhone, the camera is like one camera is the CIA, one camera is the NSA, and one camera is the local police department. So
Yeah. If your local police department is smart enough to be able to figure out how to use that stuff, but yeah.
But I mean, the point I'm trying to make is, if they're going to use social media to spy on us and try to control us, you know, it should be in your best interest as a man to be on a platform where you could freely and anonymously say whatever you want, and let society determine whether it's good or not Big Daddy corporation. Like, you know, one of those things that make me sick on Twitch is like, everybody talks about TOS, which is terms of service, right? And they're like, oh, you can't say that. You can't say it. It's TOS, right? But then it's turned into a thing like they shame you if you like, whoa, dude, you can't say that, bro. Like, and it's like, why are you defending that standpoint? Is it because you're defending the terms of service, which is basically you protecting your revenue stream, or do you really feel this way? And there's a lot of people are sellouts. A lot of people have no dignity, and are really just corporate slaves, and they're willing to sell out.
Yeah, they don't want to be the nail that sticks out. They don't want to be, you know, smashed down by the majority of their peers. So they're just like, okay, they kind of, in a way, kowtow, how LeBron James is kowtowing to China.
Yep.
A lot of people kowtow to these big tech companies.
Yep.
And it's just within the last year that people are starting to fight back even remotely.
Oh yeah, it's so true. I think I don't know if I put it on. I think I put it on my Instagram, but let me see. Okay, yeah, this is it right here. This is exactly what we have going on. This is exactly what's going on here. So you can see this is China right here, and then you got Google, NBA, Nike, Reddit. Reddit is also censoring people who are talking about the Hong Kong protests. Apple, Microsoft, Walt Disney, Blizzard, Hollywood, which, fuck Hollywood, Netflix, Facebook, ESPN, everybody just bow down to China because basically they just want access to this market.
It's the biggest market in the world by population.
So they've been seeing them. That's why, I don't know if you've been paying attention, but a lot of the movies that have been happening recently in China, there's some kind of like Chinese lead. Like, I don't know if you saw with Pacific Rim and some of the G.I. Joe stuff. But, Fast and the Furious, there's more Chinese leads and stuff because they're trying to target and infiltrate the Chinese market. So it's just something very interesting to pay attention to. And we're talking about how blockchain is basically going to help you combat censorship moving forward. I think that these tech giants now, they lead the pack just because they were the first ones there.
Yeah.
But, when you have other corporations like, are you familiar with BitChute?
Never heard of it.
Okay, so BitChute is the censorship-free YouTube. Okay. And PayPal and Stripe, which are both the premier payment processors in the United States, banned them right off the bat. They're just like, we don't support you.
Damn.
Gab.ai is a censorship-free version of Twitter. PayPal, Stripe has also banned them.
Yeah, and so they accepted Bitcoin.
So, the president, Andrew Torba, came out and was like, well, we're going to start taking Bitcoin. And then he started spreading the word saying Bitcoin is like free speech money. And basically, it's a way to transact, bypassing these payment processors and stuff like that. So I think that we're at the beginning of a silent revolution because like America and Afghanistan, and this is no disrespect to any of the veterans that are in the audience. I know I've got a couple of guys who are in the Army Reserve watching and former veterans, but this is why America couldn't stop a bunch of guys in Afghanistan because, you can't stop the human will to self-govern and want to be free. It was just a bunch of insurgents, like, counterinsurgency. It's just such a difficult thing to do. And look at America. We have we have the most technologically advanced military in human history. Mm-hmm. And we couldn't stop a bunch of guys with like a fucking, 5th grade reading level, but they had AK-47s and wanted to be free.
Exactly.
And,
But in a way, just in terms of like being human, if you're to think of the worst case situation of the United States government coming against us, right, which is, far-flung thing, but something that as an American we're taught to, understand that as a possibility, right?
Yeah.
Colonial America did not become a thing just because everybody was comfortable living in a monarchy in Britain. People wanted to go out, have more freedom, especially religion, speech, politics, everything. And at that time, it was super fringe, right? But if the government ever, decides to do something and come against us as people, in a way, this kind of gives me some hope in terms of, Americans would probably do something the same. Mm-hmm. In that if we had to fight against our own government, of course, a large part of the population would probably give up, but also a large part of the population would dig in their heels, would be able to, keep their sovereignty. And so I think the government knows this, and that's why they try these more subversive things like technology to see into our lives because they know they can't really do it by force anymore with the way the world is right now.
I mean, there's more guns than there are people in the United States. And honestly, that's why we had these guns. Like, say what you want, but when they're like when your local sheriff's office has like a fucking tank, like at what point do if you look at all the massive people who committed, like, Hitler gets a lot of fucking bad rap for what he did, what he did was
killing
terrible.
a lot of people, yeah.
But like, compared to, I think it was Joseph Stalin, I think he killed like 20 million people.
Oh yeah.
Compared to Hitler, only killed 6 million. Joseph Stalin killed 20 million. But the thing is,
and there's also been some not tribes, but there's been some militias in Africa that have killed a lot more as well.
the Japanese, and definitely not on the same level as those guys, but like, the rape of Nanking.
Yep. Philippines.
In a couple of days. But it all started because they started with censoring their population and then stripping them of guns.
Speaking of Nanking in China and the Philippines and also South Korea, you know what Japan did in South Korea, which is pretty crazy back in World War II? They used to, because Koreans view their mountains as sacred, they would literally take huge metal rods, like the size of like a telephone pole, smash them into their mountains and say, "We own you." Right? It's just kind of a psychological effect.
Oh yeah.
And so people have been, countries that we've been allies with, have been doing this for a long time as well. So it's, it's not like you're saying, it's not anything new, just to the countries that are, vilified for it. A lot of these countries have done it in the past.
Yeah, I definitely. The Koreans hate the Japanese, that's for sure.
That's one of the reasons why.
They still got modern day propaganda, how much they fucking hate the Japanese. But anyways, going back to staying on topic, that's where it kind of sounds like,
that's where it can lead to eventually, basically.
It's a snowball effect too. And, these things are also gated. A lot of social media is, like everything in our modern world, it's catered towards women because it is easy to market to women and take their money. I mean, that's just the market data is just there, and also women produce views because guys, that's the only reason why half of these chicks, not even half, like 95% of any woman on Twitch has a following, because she's relatively good looking, and I say the word relatively good looking, and shows her cleavage. That's why when Mixer, which is the Twitch rival, it's run by Microsoft, when they came out with a statement saying like no cleavage allowed because we're a fucking gaming service, we're like, we're not a fucking softcore e-porn service, which a lot of these girls are doing that. Like, they use you're gonna love this. They use Twitch as kind of like the beginning of a sales funnel to catch eyes, and they say, oh, if you want access to my premium Snapchat or my Patreon, just pay me X amount a month. And then they post naked photos, naked videos. Some girls fucking finger themselves with dildos and shit.
I'm sure they'll do basically anything.
Oh, you'd be surprised, the depths of humanity. But
here's one thing I wanted to kind of reference in the early internet as well. I remember, when I was a teenager, there was Kazaa, there was LimeWire, there's all sorts of stuff. And, in the internet, especially after Napster, and what's the other one called? The one that actually survived, BitTorrent, which is actually decentralized. All of these types of services tried to have these types of things where people were free to, whether it's paid or not, do all sorts of crazy shit, basically. And since the only way to have that on the internet is either through a paid service, through a site that basically caters to women, or through a decentralized site like BitTorrent. And it's a very different basis for how they're trying to make money. But I think going back to the internet back in the 90s is a better way of allowing people to find the good shit and the weird shit that they want to seek on the internet.
Yeah. Ultimately, going back, it just goes back to me personally as sovereignty. That's why I teach guys how to date. That's why you teach people about cryptocurrency. I believe that, I don't believe in the afterlife. I don't believe in any of that stuff. I believe that we just got this and that's it. And I think that you should have the freedom to enjoy your life however you want to enjoy it, as much as you want to enjoy it, as long as you're not infringing on other people. And, you know, I think that when it gets to the point where you start censoring people and self-censoring and saying like, oh, you can't think that, like, where is this coming from? Who is telling me this? What authority does this corporation have over me and my thoughts? And, you know, it's really just it's just another example why you know, Twitter is actually on the downward in regards to users. Surprisingly, they only have 136 million daily users. That's fucking nothing. That is absolutely nothing on the big scale.
And they're mostly penetrating, you know, first world markets, right? They're not really in, you know, Southeast Asia or India or China as well.
Right. And, you know, I mean, as a company, I think they did like $3 billion in revenue. And for a big company, that's not a lot of money.
Yeah, it could be a lot more. They get a lot more in investments.
Yes. So, anyways, going back to all that, we're going to talk to you about some social media sites that are on the up and coming, that are 100% censorship resistant. And yeah, let Charlie go ahead, take the reign there.
Yeah, and so just I guess we can pop up some of these sites. And so here you got one that is gaining some traction in terms of, I think, people saying that it has kind of the best balance with a decentralized, free online social experience. And this is called, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, Diaspora. And so you can go here to diasporafoundation.org if you want to take a look at it. But it basically comes down to these three things. And this is what any blockchain or cryptocurrency related social media is going to be based on. One, decentralization, meaning that you can basically not shut down the network. If somebody doesn't like what the network is saying, or if somebody doesn't want you to discuss certain topics, they just can't turn it off or shut it down. And then here we got pure freedom. And this means in your identity, you don't have to say who you are. You can be totally anonymous, or you can say who you are. And then also in terms of, so that's anonymity and freedom. And then also in your privacy of your data, you actually own it, right? And so the corporation, basically like Twitter, can't turn off your account. All of the data, all the information that you have on this site is yours to either keep or dispense of. And with these, you can also, some of these other sites will show you, link them to cryptocurrencies so that they basically monetize your data or monetize your content, so that you get small rewards on a daily basis in cryptocurrency. So this is probably the three main factors with any of these decentralized websites, which is going to be important. Now, this one, I would say in terms of its UI, in terms of how it looks on its outset, actually gives a very good explanation just on the front of its features of what it can do for social media. Some of these other ones are still very, very, very new. So they kind of look like the old internet as well. You want to look at this anyone anymore?
No, that's good. Let's keep going.
There's this other one called Steam It. Now this one probably has the best link to cryptocurrency because there's a coin or a token actually called Steam. And now what this is, it's basically like a blog where you can post content and get paid for it. So if you want to blog about, the red pill stuff, or if I want to blog about Bitcoin, I can basically say whatever I want here. And the way that the content is curated or seen by other people is on a reward basis. So if your information is popular among the community, they will upvote you by paying you in cryptocurrency, microtransactions, and then your stuff or your content or your blog will be more seen across this website, right? And so it's kind of like likes. Instead of likes, they're actually paying money, or they're actually giving a little bit of steam, a little bit of energy So it's microtransactions, but you use those to upvote and downvote. And so, for example, you can see like this guy here, right? He got upvoted 340 times, 10 comments, and he made $105 by posting this post. And so you can see how much people are making or how much people are getting donated to them based on the information that they're putting online here. So it's not a lot, but this one has about, I think, 1 million or so users and 500,000 active users. I'm not going to show this one, Minds, because to be honest, it probably would have stuff that we can't see on YouTube.
Yeah. I use Minds myself personally.
Yeah, and Minds is another good one. So look, it's just MINDS if any of you want to look at that one. That one also you pays people in cryptocurrency. And I think you get a certain amount of free Mind tokens when you join, or you get referenced.
The longer you are on Minds, the more of their tokens you're able to get that are like, they send you. Other people can send you tokens as well, and you can use your tokens. If you, let's for example, say you post a YouTube video, right, and you want traffic to it. If you spend 1 Minds coin, it will guarantee that it puts 5,000 eyes on that one particular piece of social media. So you can pump your stuff and organically to get eyes straight from the Minds network. And Minds is growing because, again, it's a combination of Twitter and YouTube, but it's 100% censorship free. And it's based off of a blockchain. It's minds.org, I believe, right?
Yes. And yeah, I like when you go on a site like that, the thing that people often fear is like, oh, what if I see something that triggers me? Or what if I see something I don't like? Well, basically what you can do on there is you can customize what you do want to see and what you don't want to see. And so people should be self-governing in that fashion, right? Of course, when children go on the internet, when me and you, were, 10 to 15 years old, we were, going on all sorts of different websites that our parents were probably like, yeah, we probably wouldn't want you to stumble upon that information, right?
Yep.
But that's just the way that this generation, basically from our generation forward, is going to be exposed to. You can't, if the world comes to your computer, you can't just, you have to be able to filter out what you want to see or what you can or can't see. So if you're a parent and your kids are on these types of decentralized sites, then you have to parent that. You have to tell them, no, you can't use a computer or that kind of thing, right? So, and if you're an adult who doesn't want to see certain things, you just say, oh, I didn't like that. I don't want to see it again. But people always go to the extreme and say, well, what if something, illegal came about? People are always going to do illegal things.
It's like people were saying like, oh, you can buy drugs with Bitcoin. You can also buy drugs with the fucking US dollar. And more people are buying drugs with the US dollar than they are Bitcoin. So
exactly.
You need to think about what you're saying.
Yeah, it's just common sense, right?
Which ain't common.
Exactly. And here's another couple websites which are a little bit less well known. But this one is called Sola. This is just an article about Sola, but it's apparently another social media without stress. So you can look at this information on medium.com, talking about its key features being censorship resistant, actually uses an AI to think about what you do like, what you don't like, so that you don't get triggered. And then, a lot of other revenue streams is a big part of it. So if you want to get advertised to, you can make money from getting advertisements sent to you. If you don't want to get advertisements sent to you, you can reject them, that type of thing, which is interesting. This one I don't really know much about, but it was recommended is Mastodon.social.
Mastodon.
Yeah. Have you seen this one?
No, but that was that was the Black Power Ranger.
Oh, right. Yeah, Zach, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I forgot about that one. It's fucking funny. But see, this one's kind of, this is why these sites have a hard time getting traction, because kind of like MySpace, right? The UI on this, when you look at about this site, it just looks very bland, right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of these sites are not going to survive.
Well, it's the early stages too. It's the early stages.
But that's what I mean. You got to get a lot of different, interactions, a lot of different people trying different ideas on the internet with this technology to get something that finally sticks. And so it's a process of trial and error, and it will take, 10, 20 years or so before this stuff really catches on. And it has to basically go through a new generation, the millennial generation, in order for people to actually say, okay, I want my data privacy or I don't. I want my freedom of expression or I don't. Three other ones, which I'm just going to mention briefly, is voice.com. I think this one, I don't really like it personally because it looks a little bit too corporate-y. But basically they say it in a very simple way here. We think social networking is due for major rework. There's too much data tracking, so we want to be tracking you less. And in order for us to make money doing that, we incentivize you in different ways. So a lot of this is all about finding unique ways to incentivize people so that they pay money to the system in a different way rather than through their pure data. This one's kind of cool. Is D.TUBE.
DTube. Yeah, I know DTube. Yeah.
And it's just a decentralized YouTube. I mean, it looks almost exactly the same.
Yeah.
And,
good for them.
Yeah. So a lot of these are just taking what works and then trying to make it more free, more decentralized. So this one I think would be kind of fun to play around in. A lot of what's kind of up in here seems like, I don't know, it seems like it's recommending a lot of stuff from Asian countries because we're in Japan probably.
Right.
But if you start using this site, it will then give you stuff that you want to see, just like YouTube. And the last one that I want to mention is Sapien.network. And this one, let's see how many people does it. It says active users is only 7,000. And then here's kind of the key thing that this stuff does, right? It talks about active tribes. So it's just basically taking people, putting them into the community that they are suitable for, and then you can kind of work within that area instead of being worried about, oh, am I going to see somebody I don't like, basically. They kind of put you in your little area that you are interested in. Of course, you can jump in and out of those different tribes, but it's just kind of a way to this kind of customizability, being able to see whatever you do like on your social experience and taking out what you don't. That's the best way to govern against people thinking that they're going to see stuff that they don't like. But yeah, it's all at the very, very beginning stages. So you just got to kind of go in these sites, play with them a little bit, see if it's interesting. And some of them you can make some money with crypto. Steemit's probably the best example of that, with actual money being paid out here very clearly. It's just kind of a slow going movement.
So don't think that you are pigeonholed into, having to use the big four, which is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. But there are other opportunities out there for you and your social media browsing, especially when we are talking about, moving forward, as members of society, as we push forward. The world is developing, and honestly, just the more they try to censor people, I think the more they just let people realize that, like, you push them in that direction. Like, what are you hiding? Like, it's like telling a kid, like, don't smoke weed, don't smoke weed, don't smoke weed, don't look at porn, don't jerk off. What are the kids to do? The kid's gonna smoke weed. He's gonna fucking look at porn. He's gonna jerk off. So it's very interesting to see what's going on with everything. Ultimately, I'm not a big fan of censorship. I think that we're all grown adults. I mean, I'm a 33-year-old man. I don't need to be censored. I can look at something and actively decide, is this good? Is this bad? I mean, anybody over the age of 25 should pretty much have that fucking life skill sorted out.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you're probably a fucking idiot, to be honest with you.
Or live a sheltered life. A lot of different possibilities. Also on Twitter, I mean, they have the simple function of being able to block somebody.
Yep.
Right. They go after these people just because, like you said, it's a little bit politically oriented or very highly so. So there's a lot more to it than just, oh, I didn't like what that guy said to me. It's, that's kind of what, like people back in junior high school, basically, right? Oh, I didn't like what she said. I'm going to tell the principal on her. It's like, we're old enough. We can basically say what we want online. If people don't like it, they can block us. They can go into their own community, not have to see what we have to say.
Yep.
But we should be able to say what's on our minds, and for better or for worse, right? Like back when Facebook first came out, people were posting all sorts of stupid shit that got them in trouble many years later. So it's the same with the blockchain. If it's on a decentralized internet, if you don't control your data, that shit's going to stay on the internet. But if you can control your data, you can delete that stuff off as your ideas change throughout your lifetime as well.
So that's going to do it for us today, guys. Thanks so much for watching us here at the Tokyo Crypto Show. Be sure to tune in to Charlie's channel tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. He will be doing a stream there. And be sure to tune into my channel tomorrow, 9 a.m., Interview with the Man, right here on this channel. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're watching on the replay. Thank you so much for watching. And, leave a comment, ask a question. Until then, we'll catch you guys next time. See you later.